Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. Today we're going to check out another Bluetti system. This one is the granddaddy or the grandmother or the grandfather or the OG or something of all other systems. This thing is astounding. But before we even get started, let me say that it is not for the vast majority of my audience. This is really intended for off-grid living, as in having a cabin. And as we as we go through and talk about its capacities, you'll see its capacities are phenomenal, but the vast majority of it is not going to apply to the vast majority of us nomads. Who it would apply to is if you were an RV and you wanted an expansion system to grow into that you would never outgrow. If you want something you will never outgrow, this is it. You cannot outgrow this thing. It's astounding what this thing is capable of. So for the vast majority of you, this is way overkill, and I don't want you to lust after this because this is if you want unlimited growth potential. This offers that. But for the vast majority of us, a little system like this Bluetti EB70 is really all you need. This has 700 watt hours, and for minor uses, this is going to be a plenty. A lot of you who are running fridges might find this to be marginal or too small. And if you're running a fridge, you really need 200 watts and a bigger battery. For the days or the weeks when you get clouds and rain, this is marginal, but for everyone else, this is plenty. And if you're going to buy a smaller, in the neighborhood of 500 or 700 watt hour, I do recommend Bluetti. I think they're superior with their LiFePO4 chemistry. You get 3,500 cycles. You get wireless charging. You get so many extras on Bluetti that I only recommend Bluetti products as of today for anyone. I know some of you are wondering, Bob, what are you showing me a $3,700 system for? I thought this was cheap RV living, and it is cheap RV living, and we do emphasize low cost, low ways to live nomadically and how you can live really cheaply. That's the main thrust of the channel. However, I still get letters from people who say, Bob, I just sold my house. I want to get out of the rat race. I'm sick of this life, but I need a complete solar system and I don't know how to put it in. My audience is not just the cheapest possible way to live. It's for some of you who are still working, who just sold your house and want to live nomadically too. So this is the answer for them. If you need to live in a vehicle, say you're going into a nice big transit or connect, or you got a small RV or a big RV, and you need enough power to run your business. You need to run a PC all day. You need to run modems and printers, and you're a photographer or you're a coder, and you need to just sit in front of a big screen all day with a powerful computer. This answers that. And then people ask me, I don't know how to put this in. I don't have time to learn. Who can install this for me? This is also an answer to that. This requires no installation. So if you're willing just to lay your panels out on the ground, this is plug and play. And I'm going to show you that. This is literally, you plug two MC4 connectors in together and you are done. You can run your business from your RV, from your box van, from whatever you're in, from your travel trailer you're pulling behind a pickup, whatever you're in. This solves that. And so that's important for a lot of my audience. And yes, I always emphasize the low income. That's always going to be my main thrust. But that's not all of my audience, and I don't want to leave anyone out. I don't want to exclude anyone. This solves a real problem for a lot of people, and this is addressed at them. So what if you're in an RV and you know you need something more than EB70? They just came out within this last year in 2021. They came out with the AC200P Max. That's what I recommend. If you're in an RV, the 200 Max, I think, is better than this. Again, unless you need unlimited growth potential. If you know that someday you want to settle down and be in a cabin, an off-grid cabin, then you want this. This will take up to 2,400 watts of solar. And if you're in an off-grid cabin, that's not too much. That's probably what you want. So if you do want that unlimited growth to be in a cabin and be, you know, when you get a week of rain and then suddenly you get a 1 day of sunshine, another week of rain, you want 2,400 watts going in, and you want a lot of battery. So you can shove all that power in to get you through the next week of rain or the next 2 weeks of rain. And I've seen that happen out here. And so you want this huge system if you're in a cabin. You don't really need all this system if you're just in an RV. If you're in an RV, you might like this because of the unlimited potential. If you want 1,000 amp hours of battery, this will do it. Think about that. This, you can attach 1,000 amp hours of battery and up to 2,400 watts of solar. This has unlimited potential. That's why you're looking at it. So everyone else should be looking at the AC200P Max or a smaller system like the EB70. They're both perfect for the smaller systems. Let me tell you some of the unique things about this. First, this is surprisingly light. It's 50 pounds, just shy of 50 pounds, which seems like a lot, doesn't it? But when you're talking about your entire system in one box. You can see the battery is down there. It weighs 80 pounds. So it is a monster. It's all I can do. I'm older, but I've been a blue collar worker all my life. I'm pretty strong, but it's all I can do to pick that 80 pounds up and hoist it into the truck. I can do it at 80 pounds, but it's all that I can do. I'm not sure I could do more. So there is not a battery in this, and that's so unusual. I've never seen anyone do that before. This is just the electronics. Let me tell you one of the things they did that I think make this, and it's got a really nice catch so that it nests together well. There are two MPPT controllers in here. So one of the MPPT controllers handles 1,200 watts, and the other MPPT controller handles another 1,200 watts. Between the two of them, you can handle 2,400 watts. That's a lot of space, and that's a lot of heat. And that's why there's no battery in here. It's just a big case. I think is because of the heat. First, it would get too heavy. If it's already 50 pounds and you add another 650 pounds for a battery, well, you can't pick that up and carry it around. It'd be too tall, it would be too heavy and too awkward. So they had to separate the battery completely out. You cannot buy this with a battery inside it. You have to buy these as a set. It has a 3,000 watt inverter, which most of us won't ever need that 3,000 watts, but it will allow you to run two things at once. One of the things that's really unique is they've moved the power brick. If you've seen any of these before, they have a great big power brick. The power brick is gone. It's inside as well. So that's another reason why there's not a battery in here, because that's moved inside. You don't have the great big power brick. This is the AC cord. So it's got a standard plug-in and a 110 and 110 volt, 120 volt outlet. So no great big brick. The brick is now inside. Also, one of my big problems and my complaints about these things is one part fails, you've got to send the whole thing back. And if that battery is built in, then you're sending back a great big heavy battery. This will be so much cheaper because it's only 50 pounds if you have to send it back in for repair. I think it will run longer because it's going to have better cooling. And if you do ever have a problem and need to send it back, it has a 7-year warranty. The battery bank is right here. This is called the B300. You can see it's got 3,072 watt hours. So it's a 3,000 watt inverter and a 3,000 watt battery bank. You can add a total of 4 battery banks. You can have 12,000 watt hours of batteries connected to this one thing. They'll charge into here, and that will charge the entire bank from here. This is the battery charger. They have also just come out with this new solar panel. This is a 350 watt solar panel, and it's heavy because it's so big. I mean, it's basically a little less than 200s. So it's all in one, and it's very, very high quality. You can just feel the quality on this thing, but it's 350 watts. And of course it comes out. You can combine up to 4 of these. This is $700. It's very expensive. It's $700 for 350 watts. So that's a lot of money, but it's still cheaper than most of these folding panels. And it just uses standard MC4 connectors. So this is the MC4 that comes out of the panel. So you can see this is it plugs in and it comes out, and it has 2 separate MC4 connectors. So you would combine to go one to each connector, go to each different solar controller inside it. So you would combine all your solar panels in parallel and then serial, probably, and then you would connect them up to 1200 watts or three up to 1400 watts of these 350 watt panels. And then that would go into this controller. And then if that wasn't enough, you wanted to grow and add another system, you needed another 1200. Well, you would just combine the rest of them and plug them into this, and it would go into the other MPPT solar controller. The key on this is unlimited growth, and this is one of the ways they're doing it. This is also the ultimate in simplicity of installation. Um, all you have to do is plug in an MC4 to this and you're solar charging. Nothing else to do. It's ultra, ultra simple. And that's the odd thing about it. They've made it incredibly expandable, but easier to put together at the same time. I'm impressed with that. They're thinking really ahead towards the user. They've also increased the number of 110 outlets. There are a lot of 110 outlets, and there's a good number of USB. It's a 100-watt USB port, and so you can directly charge a 100-watt PD. It's a USB-C, and so you can directly charge a MacBook or a Microsoft Surface. It also has two different 15-watt wireless charger. If your phone does wireless charging or your watch or whatever you have, well, if it does wireless charging, you just set it on top here, it automatically starts, it charges it all the way, and it's super fast and convenient. And allowing them to be separated like this is means you have more opportunities to find room for it. So maybe you can tuck this away somewhere else and this another place. This is the cable that you see, can connect them together, and it's a great, enormous cable. But if that's not enough, and that's plenty, you can connect this one with another one and create 24 volts. So if you have a 24-volt fridge, you have to buy a box that connects the two of them together. You could buy this system and another system, and you could have 8 3,000 watt hour batteries, 24,000 watt hours of batteries, 200 amp hours of batteries, and taking 4,800 watts of solar. So that's why I'm saying this has unlimited expansion. Now, I know a lot of you are going to think $3,700 is a ridiculous amount of money for what this is, and I want to assure you that it is not. One of the things I recommend all of you do is build your own system. When I built my system, I built it from really high quality parts, and I paid at this much for my system as this would be the $3,700. I spent $400 for an inverter. I spent $400 for an 80 amp controller. This is a 100 amp controller, and it's a super fast controller. These are optimized for speed, and so, but I spent $800 to equal this. I'd have to buy two of them. I'd spend $800 for controllers, and it wouldn't be as good as what's in here. I spent $1,800 for my batteries, but they have come down, and today they'd be $1,600. But that's $3,000 right there. And what I still don't have is a fast AC charger. I don't have any AC charger at all because I never plug into shore power ever. So I don't have that. But I don't know how much that would cost. I bet it's $300, $400, $500 because it's super fast at a minimum. And then there's no way I don't have a 12-volt charger in my system, and this one does. And that wouldn't be a lot of money, but it would be some. But here's the big thing, cabling. All this stuff, you can't just throw a box of this stuff out on the ground and say, help, it'll work together. It will not. The cabling on these big cables are expensive. I have all 2/0 for my inverters in there, and big cables, four gauge cables to go from the controller to the batteries. It's expensive, and they all have to be, the ends have to be made, or you have to make them. And by the time you've done cabling and fuses, I'm over $3,700. My system costs more than this, and it's good quality components, but it's not much better than this. It's not better than this, I don't think. And I did it all myself. Here's the thing you got to figure. You don't have to pay anybody to set this up unless you mount them on the roof. Say you're not capable of going up and mounting your own system and and buying the inverter and buying the solar MPPT controller and putting it all together, then you're paying someone, aren't you? You're going to pay a couple grand to someone to build my system. I can guarantee it. Somebody who's good is going to charge you $50 to $100 an hour, and it's going to take many, many hours. You're going to spend couple $1,000s on installation. You've eliminated that cost. The total cost of a real system, anywhere near approaching this, is going to be $5,000 and up for this $3,700 system because you're not paying someone to do it. Bear that in mind when you think how expensive this is. It's top quality stuff. It'll last you a long time. It all has a 7-year warranty, and you're not paying labor. And if you don't know how to do it, that's a really big deal. It adds up to being a fairly good deal if you need that unlimited growth. If you don't need that unlimited growth, go with the AC200P Max. If you don't need that up to 900 watts of solar, just go with the EB70, maybe even a couple of the EB70s, because they're like 500 bucks. For $1,000, you can have 2 of those, and you have a backup. While I know this is not for most of you, there are a few of you that this will be very, very attractive to. It's all the question, do you want unlimited growth? If you do, this is the system. So what do you think? Would one of these work for you? I know it's an impressive feat of engineering, but it probably wouldn't apply to most of you. But what do you think? Would one of those work for you? The EB70, the red one I showed you earlier, or the AC200P Max, or the AC300? Which of those would appeal to you? Which would be your ideal system, and why? And why wouldn't you want the others? I'd really be curious to know. So leave a comment down below and share with the rest of the audience who's trying to learn as they go. We're all struggling with solar, I know that. And so the more we each explain what we know and pool it together, the more we all learn. Well, I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later.